my God, Anita. Oh my God, Anita.
Hello, my name is Willie Bragg. Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. Sorry, didn't do a video yesterday. I had kind of a bad day. Had a lot of crap that went on beyond my control, but hope things will get better today. I'll make this a short video because I'm waiting for the air conditioning man to come in to do the repair work because I don't like sweating in July. Just never like that at all. Let me get rid of this. Okay. Usually kind of a foul mouth, obnoxious ass when I do these videos because that's kind of my jam. That's just how I am. I mean, I'm politically incorrect. I'm a loud mouth. I'm just an asshole most of the time. I mean, and usually, one part of me is high-minded, and in the sense that I can tolerate people with political differences. Granted that those differences, well, if somebody's is like pro-Hitler and they hate blacks and they hate Jews and they hate gays and lesbians, bisexuals, transgender, queer, they hate everybody. They're racist, bigoted, what have you. While they have a right to their viewpoint, I would not want anything to do with such persons. That's the most horrible, horrendous part of the right. If somebody's looking at the Cambodia, the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia during the 1970s, Pol Pot's regime, and seeing the killing fields, and they're like, well, gee whiz, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. And you think that's just progress? And that's on the left? I will refute you just as quick as I refute a Hitler apologist. But we're talking about those kind of extremes. But the problem is in this society that people tend to view people you disagree with in non-human terms. You dehumanize your political opponents. I'm tribalistic in my ways, and I have actually gone after people in these videos and kind of tore them apart. It's a back and forth thing. I don't do it as a Democrat because to me the Democrats are almost as bad as the Republicans. I view both political parties as cancer. I view the Republican Party worse than the Democrats, but the Democrats are not much better. I view both the Democrats and the Republicans to the right of Boris Johnson's Conservative Party, the guy that's stepping down in the UK. I'm going to be doing a video of that maybe this weekend. But I want to talk about this Highland shooting that took place on July 4th. And I talked about it the other day. We'll revisit it again. How people become partisan over this situation. I'm going to be a little nicer because the reason I'm going to be a little bit nicer, even though I have nothing, well, it looks like nothing politically in common with the person. I haven't seen any of his other videos. I may look at it later on today, but Joseph Cerna, or Cernia, I guess that's his name, decided to blame Antifa and decided to blame Democratic Socialists of America and associate it with Robert Crimo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you his video and going to show you where she's not going to try necessarily to own somebody, but just kind of show where he's mistaken. So let me set this here, and we will get started. If he had the demeanor of Wild Bill for America, I would be a jerk today. But anyway, I just don't have the heart in me to do this. So I'm going to. Hopefully he'll see this video and he will realize not all leftists are what he claims they are. I do believe in dialogue with people that I disagree with. Okay, let's get started.
My thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and families of the Highland Park shooting. What a senseless act. Information has been uncovered that shows Highland Park shooter Bobby Crimo is tied to Antifa, Democratic Socialists, and the occult.
Okay, Antifa, anti-fascist. If he belongs to Antifa and he belongs to Democratic Socialists of America, that doesn't have anything to do with him. It doesn't have anything to do with DSA or Antifa. It has all to do with him as an individual. Like the Brady guy. What was his name? Brady, the serial killer. Brady from the 1980s, serial killer. Yeah. He was good Lord, what was that man's name? Tom Brady? Let's see. Brady. Good Lord. The serial killer from the 1980s, I guess. What was his name? Good Lord. The one that got executed in Florida. Oh, good gracious. What was his name? The serial killer. I can't think of the guy's name. But suffice to say, that serial killer Brady in the 1970s, 80s, that murdered all those people. Serial killer Brady. Let's see here. Oh, good gracious. I know his last name was Brady. Let's see. Well, anyway, point I'm trying to make is the man was involved with the Republican Party and in Washington State. And the thing about it is, does it make it so that all Republicans are basically serial killers. Mark Foley, the Republican member of Congress from Florida, was caught trying to pick up 2 teenage boys as members of Congress back in 2006. Doesn't mean that every Republican member of Congress or every Republican are pedophiles. Even though you have Marjorie Taylor Greene basically saying all Democrats are supporters of pedophilia. Nobody in polite society across the spectrum supports pedophilia or serial killing or terrorism, regardless of their political affiliation. So I just want to get that straight. Anyway, I'm going to let him talk. I'm sorry.
Cremo had a social media presence that was truly ominous and chilling. Red flags were all over the place. Cremo had run-ins with the law in 2019, not the least of which was when he threatened to kill his entire family. He put his bloody drawings and strange murderous ambitions online for all to see, and they were viewed by an awful lot of people. There could be no mistake about it. This guy is all sorts of mentally ill, and frankly, he's demon-possessed. He displayed what he described as an uncontrollable drive to be a lethal threat to society, and yet no one seemed to have anything to say about this. The many people that saw his garbage online over the last 3 years has a little bit of culpability. Police arrested Cremo, a 22-year-old, a few hours after the shooting. Cremo killed 7 and injured dozens at the 4th of July parade on Tuesday. The Gateway Pundit has uncovered information indicating that Cremo is a radical progressive with ties to Antifa, socialists, and the occult.
Okay, stop it there. And Dylan Roof was basically a hard-right Republican young man in South Carolina who was a Ted Cruz supporter that shot up the people at that African-American church in 2015. What's your point? My point is that we're talking about an individual action. So what is your solution? Round up members of DSA, round up members of Antifa because of an action of somebody that may or may not be a member of Antifa or a member of DSA that have engaged in this. And Gateway Pundit, do we take their word for it? That could be doctored up, what you just saw there online. And if you want to believe everything you see online and believe everything you read without checking and trying to find the worst in others just to score political points, if that's what you want to do, hey, people likes to do that, and they do it on all sides too, by the way. I'll let you continue.
Looking over the information collected following this deadly shooting, it's evident the Independence Day killer, Bobby Cremo, has a very dark background. After seeing his videos, it's unbelievable and shocking that no one stepped up and reported all of his disturbing activity. Cremo's social network and lifestyle are all related to the far left. He has ties to the Democratic Socialist of America, as is evidenced by the tattoo on his neck.
I checked for the tattoo on his neck. I have not seen any photos of tattoos on his neck that indicates there's a fist and rose. There's a fist and rose in there. I mean, I have not yet have seen it. I keep hearing of it, and I seen something that looked like it was Dr. Up, but I have not for sure noticed it. And you're going to have to actually give me proof of that. Again, even if he was a member of Democratic Socialists of America, you know very little about Democratic Socialists of America. I have been a member of Democratic Socialists of America, and I'll give you a little bit of a history of Democratic Socialists of America, Joe. Democratic Socialists of America basically goes back to the history of the old Socialist Party of America. And while I presume you do not like the term socialism, it is basically a very humane, very American, and very democratic, small d, democratic vision of socialism. Basically, the old Socialist Party of Eugene Debs, Norman Thomas, Helen Keller, A. Philip Randolph, Frank Zeidler, Michael Harrington. This is the tradition of the Socialist Party of America. And none of these people being mentioned are considered by impartial historians in a negative light, even if they disagree with the economics of these people. Many of these people have served great service to this country. The Socialist Party of America, Joseph, the old Socialist Party of America, which DSA is a precursor of, a successor to or of, was a member of the Socialist International, the worldwide federation of democratic socialists, social democratic, and labor parties, center-left parties across the world, which basically have done actually more for their people than Democrats do here in the United States, which the Democratic Party here in the United States would be to the right of these political parties in Europe that has actually done things like provide universal health care, expand labor union rights, provide a welfare state, have generous pensions for these workers, and let's see, what else? Long vacation times, and people have high quality life. And that's what it means to be a democratic socialist. In 1972, the Socialist Party of America split three ways because there were disagreements whether to work inside of the Democratic Party or not, whether the political party should be overly supportive of Israel or not, or to not support Israel at all. That was all in, and whether to support the new left, the hippie movement, or whether to support the mainstream middle America and support the mainstream labor movement. It was all that was going on in the early 70s, the old left, new left divide that was going on. It was a big debate issue at that time. That's what the Democratic Socialists of America is about. It's different from communism. And even though I am not a Marxist-Leninist, they do have actually honorable history here in the United States too, the old Communist Party USA. I just have disagreements with Marxist-Leninism, but they do have served a lot of good at the same time during the New Deal era in labor struggles and civil rights. But anyway, we can go into that later on, but in another video. I'll let you continue.
This is the largest and fastest growing socialist organization in the United States. Evidence would suggest that Cremo is not a Trump supporter, although a lot of leftist outlets tried to make this claim.
And not all Trump supporters are violent, but some of those crazy people at January 6th are. And, you know, and if you want to go and talk about crazy people and right-wing people, not all right-wing people would go and blow up the federal building in Oklahoma City. And if Timothy McVeigh was alive today, he would have been more likely to be a Donald Trump supporter than a Bernie bro. However, that doesn't mean that all Trump supporters want to blow up federal buildings. So, I mean, you know, blanket indictments is pretty toxic. Anyway, I'll let you continue.
He makes fun of Trump and his followers in his social media post.
Oh, no.
At the Trump rally.
Oh, no. Somebody making fun of Trump. Oh, I guess, my goodness, somebody exercising their First Amendment rights. Oh, no. Oh, no. Hey, if somebody's making fun of somebody, that is their right. I'd rather see somebody making fun of somebody than shooting up people. I don't see what that has to do with shooting up people. I'm more concerned with Robert Cremo doing what he did on that day on July 4th. I don't care if he made fun of Donald Trump. I don't care. I don't care who makes fun of Joe Biden. I don't care who makes fun of any politician. Are you trying to say that nobody should make fun of Donald Trump? That's off limits? I'm just curious.
And he dressed up in a Where's Waldo outfit. This appears to have been a trolling effort against Trump and his supporters. His social media posts lead a reasonable person to see that he would like to kill Trump. Cremo dressed up as a woman to blend into the crowd that he would open fire on before leaving the scene and he was caught by the police a few hours later. As one might expect, within hours the political games would begin. Eric Swalwell, famous for consorting with Chinese spy Fang Fang, launched a Twitter attack on Boebert, who is a strong Second Amendment proponent and a great American patriot.
She's also an illegal escort, and she had two abortions. I know something that you're probably opposed to, and I know she says she's pro-life, but she had two abortions, and she was apparently an illegal escort. So she's got some flawed characters. I know you think she's pretty. I know she looks like a young Sarah Palin, and I can understand that. Objectively, she's attractive. She's attractive, but she's a nutcase. And for this congressman here, I know about the Chinese spy or what have you. But does that mean that all Democrats are traitors or what have you? That's pretty much hearsay. People said the same thing about Donald Trump being linked with Putin, or actually, and I actually don't believe that. But let's go with something much worse. One of your heroes in the past, Ronald Reagan, and sitting there, trading arms, dealing with Iran in the 1980s. To go and funnel money and weapons and aid to Contras in Nicaragua. You don't think that was terrible to deal with Iran like that? I digress. I'll let you go on.
He, of course, blamed her for the attack. What a moron. Boebert then...
have you heard any words that come out of Boebert's mouth? She's not exactly a smart person, but anyway.
Slammed Swalwell, who is a national embarrassment, for posting a tweet linking her to the gunman at the shooting. She painted Swalwell as desperate and targeted him after he tweeted a picture of her holding a rifle alongside an image of Cremo with the caption, "Let's start drawing straight lines." Boebert is the wrong person for a mental lightweight like Swalwell to be tangling with. She came back by saying, "I get that Eric Swalwell isn't a fan of our Constitution and is desperate to detract from his repeated failures."
Hold on. She's not a fan of the Constitution either. She made a speech recently basically calling for a Christian version of Sharia law. A Christian version of Sharia law. Now, I'm a lukewarm Christian myself, and I'm a believer, but I'm not particularly whatever. But the thing about it is that I don't go around trying to impose my point of view. I believe in religious freedom, and religious freedom means freedom of religion too. It means the same thing. The First Amendment guarantees this, that the Congress shall make no law establishing religion or prohibiting the exercise thereof. That means no national church, no national religion. And she is a proponent of that. So she needs to get very well acquainted with the Constitution. If there's anybody that's not acquainted with the Constitution, it is Lauren Boebert.
But the only straight line that needs to be drawn is from Swalwell to Fang Fang to the Chinese Communist Party.
And about the Chinese government, many of you guys, even though I do not believe that Trump dealt with Putin, there is a lot of sympathy among the Republican right toward Putin. I'm no fan of Mark Levin, but Mark Levin was correct about one thing. He was correct when he said that there is a Putin wing to the Republican Party. And believe me, it really hurts me to agree with Mark Levin. And there is a Putin wing to the Republican Party. And let me tell you, Russia is allied with China. Iran. I know you guys don't like Iran too much, even though they're less of a threat than Saudi Arabia, objectively. Y'all look the other way at Saudi Arabia. And there where all the terrorism against the West, really the big source comes from. Iran, Russia, and China are pretty close with each other. Now, for me, I'm anti-war. I was anti-war all my life. I was probably the biggest anti-war zealot during the Bush-Cheney years. I'm sure you probably thought someone like myself was a traitor to the country for saying the Bush and Cheney were criminals for the war in Iraq. Well, it turned out that I was right and you guys were wrong. And we're worse off because of that Iraq war. And because of that Iraq war, any problems with Iran today, it was George W. Bush's fault. Let's go on.
The Congresswoman said in a statement to the Washington Examiner, okay, so Boebert was, of course, referring to Swalwell's liaison with a Chinese spy, Fang Fang, also known as Christine Fang, with whom he has been accused of having a sexual relationship, a charge he has not denied. Fang is also alleged to have placed an intern in Swalwell's office and assisted in fundraising efforts for the congressman's 2014 re-election campaign.
I don't support the government. I wouldn't want to start a fight with the government of China. It's not particularly my model, but this Fang Fang, she's kind of a hottie, though, I have to admit. She's prettier than Lauren Boebert.
All while working as an operative on behalf of China's Ministry of State Security, their country's equivalent to our CIA. Boebert went on to suggest that...
Oh, by the way, we should not have a CIA. We should abolish the CIA. We should have never have a CIA. And if I had the power, I will abolish the CIA right now. And I would abolish pretty much a lot of the intelligence agencies in this country that does nothing more. Well, like, for example, the CIA does nothing more than cause a lot of havoc and instability around the world. And I will abolish the FBI, which basically, undermines a lot of civil liberties in this country.
That Swalwell could face scrutiny from Republicans for his relationship with the suspected Chinese agent if the Republicans win the House majority in November, which is a near certainty.
Yep, God help us. Yep. Well, I don't know. Joe Biden is the Mitt Romney y'all never had. Joe Biden is the John McCain you never had. Joe Biden is the Bob Dole y'all never had. You ought to be happy.
I will make sure that lines get drawn when we take back the House. Law-abiding gun owners won't be smeared every time a failed presidential candidate rolls out of bed with a Chinese spy and tries to blame us for the conduct of others, she said.
Oh, so what she's going to do, she's going to make sure people are arrested for criticizing her, for hurting her feelings. I thought that they cared about the First Amendment. It's like I said about that First Amendment. First, y'all claim to be for the First Amendment, but you're only for the First Amendment for conservatives, for the Republicans, for the right. No First Amendment for anybody else. It doesn't apply to liberals, doesn't apply to progressives, doesn't apply to those Democrats, doesn't apply to Greens, doesn't apply to anybody but Republicans and conservatives and the right in general. I get it. It's what I've been saying. Thank you for kind of proving my point.
Boebert later posted a separate tweet responding to Swalwell, linking the congressman with Fang and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Swalwell defended his criticism of Boebert and her pro-killer colleagues in a statement to the Washington Examiner. We're a country of unrestricted weaponry where the most dangerous people have access to the most dangerous weapons. No elected leader in America fetishes a dangerous person's access to military-style weapons more than Representative Boebert, he said. We're not going to stop calling her and her pro-killer colleagues out. That's a pretty uninformed opinion, as few places have the kind of gun restrictions that Illinois does, and especially Chicago. Yet Chicago is the murder capital of the country. I wonder how Swalwell has such problems drawing straight lines in this instance.
You know, when I hear Chicago and Detroit and, all these places where Democrat-run cities, and crime and crime and crime. We know what y'all mean by that. And I'm not exactly particularly a fan of gun control, but I do think that if somebody's nuts, maybe they should be disarmed individually. I mean, do I think I would like to see Marjorie Taylor Greene disarmed? I would like to see Lauren Boebert disarmed. Those two don't need to be walking around with a weapon. They don't need to. They need to be disarmed. The average person doesn't, but Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene needs to be disarmed. Yes, I said that.
Kevin McCarthy, along with several other top Republican lawmakers, has previously indicated Swalwell would face penalties in a Republican-led House over his relationship with Thang. After Democrats stripped Representatives Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar of their committee assignments due to past statements that they made, McCarthy said Swalwell should be stripped of his seat on the House Intelligence Committee. Imagine the insanity of having a man who consorted with a spy on our House Intelligence Committee. How dumb is that?
Well, how dumb is it that we had a former president, George W. Bush, that went and tried to negotiate with another country, Dubai, to go and handle security in our nation's, a major nation's port back in 2006. And that was a bipartisan effort to say, this is bullshit. And no, it's not because I used bad language, sorry, but it's not because there is a Middle Eastern country. I don't like the idea of another country handling a security of our nation's ports. I don't care if it's Dubai. I don't care if it's Canada. I don't care if it's Denmark. In fact, I tell you the truth, I don't like a private company doing that. I'd rather have it done by public, have it done as a public entity. But then again, I am a democratic socialist. I believe in public accountability of the economy as much as possible.
It's pretty obvious Swalwell could never provide evidence to substantiate his claim that the shooter's actions were motivated by or could be linked to Boebert's Second Amendment views. It's pretty obvious that Democrats will never be able to hold criminals accountable for their own actions.
What about Marjorie Taylor Greene's and Lauren Boebert's and Paul Gosar's role in the January 6th insurrection? What about their roles? They should be removed from Congress. They should be removed from Congress, right? I mean, they shouldn't even be in Congress. They shouldn't. So, anyway, let me just do one of these here, and I am back. So, basically, as I said, usually I'll be a little bit meaner with someone like this, and maybe I was kind of mean already, but I showed more restraint than usual. But having that said, this is what I've been talking about, a lot of culture war crap. Just a lot of just demonization of your political opponents. Something terrible happens, and usually, and I'm doing it because I'm on the left. It's usually it's the leftists that are responsible for this. Every time they do this, every time, the leftists are always responsible. I mean, they do this every time. I remember when 9/11 happened, and Pat Roberts said, Jerry fought the ACLU for 9/11. I mean, what? Because this country has a secular government. Because back then, even though LGBTQ rights weren't fully realized, and unfortunately, it looks like there's going to be some rollbacks with this nutty Supreme Court. They thought they had too much rights back then, and they just thought that there was just too much social freedoms, and so they claimed that God was punishing this country. What kind of a God would allow this? That's just nuts. And if that's the case, then God should be mad at Denmark Norway and Sweden, which has the highest standard of living in the world and way more socially progressive and tolerant than the United States ever could be. So there is that. And as I said, I just kind of wanted to use this as an illustration of what's been going on with culture war shenanigans and all of that. So on the chat line, we have Hot Retarded Chicks, Joe's Two Chicken, Two on TV. Well, I mean, he drinks the Kool-Aid, and that's not even an insult. There are progressives or liberals or shit-livs, as you will, that drink the Kool-Aid too. I mean, I have been cancel culture by Hillary Clinton supporters for voting for Jill Stein in 2016, for example. And because they call me right wing because I didn't like Hillary Clinton, and it's like this is crazy when somebody to my right is going to call me right wing because they think I have trouble with a woman when I voted for a woman for president, a woman who's to the left of Hillary Clinton, where Hillary Clinton's policies are closer to Trump than it is to Jill Stein's. So that's basically, that's what's going on there. So anyway, as I said, I'm going to cut this video off right now because I'm waiting for the repairman to come in to take care of the air condition. And I didn't do a video yesterday because I was kind of in a bad mood with no air condition, and pharmacy computer down, and I couldn't get my meds, and somebody ticked me off online yesterday, and just all I couldn't sleep. Just in a bad mood yesterday, so I'm in a better mood today because hopefully we'll get this air conditioned situation resolved, and it's not that warm today. So if you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree, comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. We will have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Also, subscribe and hit that notification bell. And remember, let's reject corporate news and corporate media because they have nothing, absolutely nothing to offer to us because they just don't. So, it's radical leftist agenda. Yay. Hey, how are you? Oh. What, it's over? Well, yeah, but you can scroll it back. Yeah, I went on a rant. It's a little more polite rant than usual, but anyway, so that's what it was all about. So, okay, bye. Well, all right, bye. So anyway, I will be seeing y'all again this weekend. Y'all take care, and I will conclude by saying to everyone, music.